Joining us now is Jessica Melugin. She is with the Competitive Enterprise Institute. She serves as the Associate Director for their Center for Technology and Innovation. Good morning.
Good morning.
For those of you who don't, or for those of the viewers who don't follow along, explain the Competitive Enterprise Institute and what it does and the positions it takes.
We are a nonpartisan free market think tank. So we just do research and educate anyone who's interested, media, legislators, the public, about issues of the day, and mostly it's economic policy. We don't really get involved in social policy.
One of the economic policies that was a big driver this week in Washington was that happening at the Supreme Court. The topic was internet sales taxes. Could you explain to our viewers the nature of the discussions there?
Sure. So what we saw this week at the Supreme Court was one piece of the larger discussion about what we're going to do about sales taxes online. As more and more people have started shopping online, states have become increasingly concerned about their sales tax revenues. South Dakota, in this case, has taken it upon itself to pass a law that would allow it to reach outside of its borders and collect sales tax from companies who don't have any physical presence in that state. On the other side in the case is the Wayfair Corporation. They're an internet retailer that's asking the court to uphold the rules as they are now, saying before a state can collect sales tax from a company, that company has to have a store, a warehouse, an office in that state.
So we'll drill down on both those sides then. If I'm the internet retailer, what's the argument I'm making before the court for this?
Well, mostly who is objecting to this in terms of internet retailers are smaller internet retailers. So, for instance, people don't always know this, but Amazon now collects in all the states that have a sales tax. In fact, 17 out of the 18 largest internet retailers do collect. So this is a small group of internet retailers, sort of the people you would expect to find selling on eBay, Etsy, sort of one-man shops. And for them, what would be hard about South Dakota's plan is that it makes them have to calculate and remit to thousands of different sales tax jurisdictions all over the country and remit to the 45 states that collect those taxes.
And go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's a huge compliance burden, and that's the crux of their problem with it.
And so if I'm a state, though, like South Dakota, what are my interests there? I
think your interest is financial. I think that they feel that it is going to be some sort of funding silver bullet. We know from a GAO report and the Census Bureau that states and localities continue to break records every quarter with their spending, so they're always looking for new forms of revenue.
So we'll continue on our discussion with our guest. If you want to ask her questions about this internet sales tax and what the Supreme Court brings to it, you could do so on the lines. It's 202-748-8001 for Republicans, Democrats 202-748-8000, and Independents 202-748-8002. As far as the court was concerned, I don't know if you attended or not, but the nature of the at least interest from the justices, what do you think they brought as far as their questions, and where do you think they're going as far as the decision?
I've learned to not make any predictions about the Supreme Court in deference to them, but I think they had some great questions about what we were just speaking about, the compliance costs to small businesses, and also a concern about changing the rules about 50 years into these rules being set. So a lot of internet companies have made decisions based on how we've been doing things so far and sort of what chaos would result if we change them now this far in, lawsuits and economic loss.
One of the things that came up, though, was notice of the Quill decision. What is that, and how does that play into this?
So the Quill decision is sort of the rule that's in place now. It's a 1992 case. It was a catalog mail case, so this is before online sales were an issue. And the Quill Corporation was asked to pay North Dakota some sales tax, and the Quill Corporation said, well, we don't have any stores or warehouse there. We have nothing to do with you. We ship our products into your state by common carrier, and you don't have any right to make us collect taxes. They won that case, so that rule has been in place, and that's what's at issue now here in the new Wayfair case.
Leading up to the Supreme Court taking this, USA Today had this in their op-ed section. I'll just read you a bit of it. It says that the most obvious discrimination in Quill is the harm done to brick-and-mortar stores. Their travails are easy to see, but another less obvious one is illustrated in the fact that both Quill and Tuesday's case, South Dakota versus Wayfair, came from the Dakotas. States with small populations hurt much more by the current system than large states, for the simple reason that retailers are more likely to have a physical presence in the larger states. It goes on from there.
Well, I think there is a fair question to be asked about treating all retailers the same. People are concerned about that. That's legitimate. Unfortunately, the plan from South Dakota and some plans similar to it that have been floated in Congress kind of tip the scale too far the other way. So instead of treating everyone the same, now you have a brick and mortar shop, a mom and pop shop. No matter where the customer walks in from, that company collects based on right where that company is, right? They don't ask you for your driver's license when you're visiting from out of state and then figure out your home sales tax and then send a check to your state. But that's what we'd be asking internet retailers to do under South Dakota's plan. And unfortunately, with 10,000 different tax jurisdictions across the country, it's an enormous financial burden. The GAO did a report where they estimate, even with the free software that some plans provide, the integration and the maintenance is still between $60,000 and $260,000 a year. That's a huge expense for someone, knitting socks in their garage and selling them online on eBay. There's going to be a lot of market disruption with something like that.
You've hinted at this. You said you're nonpartisan, but you're a free market approach. Then what's the best way of approach as a free marketer?
I think if you really want equity and to maintain positive tax competition between the states, we like an origin-based approach where you really do treat online retailers the same way you treat bricks and mortar. So it's at the principal point of business. That way the company pays in one place, there's one set of rules, one state to remit to, and you won't have a situation like you would with the South Dakota case where you have someone in Idaho selling their knickknacks online and maybe New York State or California gets to audit them. That's kind of terrifying for a small business owner.
Is there a sense that the internet is still kind of a wild west when it comes to, especially when it comes to merchandising and economics, and that legislators or other people don't want to put a whole lot of other regulations on that front?
I think that there's something to that for sure. I think that's been an amazing engine for growth. No one wants to harm that. But it's important to remember the big picture here. Internet sales are only 9% of total retail. So you're looking at numbers in the billions as opposed to total retail in the US, which is numbers in the trillions. As big as Amazon is, it's by far our biggest retailer here in the U.S., online retailer in the U.S., it's still dwarfed by Walmart. Walmart's 4 times bigger than Amazon. So I think there's, we're in a strange place. The internet's been great. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But wow, now these guys are getting bigger, and we're going to have to start taking a look at how we go forward.
As far as the justice, did anybody take that approach? The internet, if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach.
I think there was more concern about changing the rules as we go through. I mean, maybe that's corollary there. But I don't think it would be hard these days with the Googles of the world and the Facebooks and the Apples to really say that, oh, these little things need an incubator. They're doing really well. They're well established, and there's some great arguments to be made against regulating, but I'm not sure that they're just starting out as maybe the most compelling one anymore.
CEI.org is the website for the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Jessica Melugin serves as the Associate Director for the Center of Technology and Innovation, Center for Technology and Innovation. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.